服里，没事。你在哪儿？哦，他，
这是什么？
我靠！
这是什么？
你这在哪儿抓到的？
我不是在哪抓到的。
他抓我！
我进完车，他就滴着我了。
我靠，太小了吧这个！纸箱子腾出来，我们给他喂点奶吧。
我操！我跟你说，我刚开完车，我让没听到声音。
你就听到声音了？他是在你车旁边吗？
我都不知道，反正肯定没压到他。
开门。懂啊？你车。
不知道，你知道他非常夸张，他从我的裤子上，你知道吗？扒下，然后一直爬到我脑袋上面。
我靠！
我把他咬我。
他不是咬你，他应该是在抓你。你先在里面待一下。
就过多远？
你过多啊？他们一直是现在其实是可以断奶的，对吧？
是可以断的呀，是亚洲长出来呀，没得问题好吧？
给小猫弄了点吃的，一勺这个罐头，然后一点奶粉，再给它吃点营养膏。这些东西还是楼下驿站老板给我的。念念了，睡觉了啊。对好的。乖。哎呀，乖，来，看看这边有没有尿。啊，有尿，这边有尿。哎呀，好乖，我们分得清楚尿尿的地方，好乖。圆鼓鼓的，是不是摸摸小豆子？奶粉喝多了是不是会上火？那这边是不是？哇！摸摸肚子，是该吃一个。今天吃了4顿，等于是早、中、下、晚。这个一点了。他刚都睡醒了，然后我叫他还没反应，又吓死了。我他喵了2下，他就回应我了。我还好回应我了。吃的可快了。你俩干嘛？哦，圆鼓鼓的，是不是摸摸小豆子？你看他们2个， 他们两个也看你耶，还不错，是不是？哎呀，好乖好乖呀！你看啥？干啥？睡觉了，睡觉了啊！睡觉了啊！我家里还有狗，所以还要拿东西挡着，避免它俩过来。好，就这个样子吧，晚安。听了，你看，这里，滴滴滴，转过来。哎，看这里，看这里，看这里，选一个，你就闻到这个呀，你就闻到这个啊，你要不要再来一次？你要不要再来一次？啊，你这么随意。哦，还是这个，还是这个，还是这个，好，看看。婷婷，你知道你自己在庭上捡的呀？啊，那这个是什么东西？我们两个都在咬，把豆乳。干嘛？这是你名字，这是你名字，婷婷。哎，婷婷，哎呀，答应我呢，婷婷，过来，婷婷，婷婷，哎，婷婷，哎呀，那你叫陈婷婷吧。久点说，好了，这个也能吃的。我不说话还好点，一说话他叫的更大声。晚吃1秒不要被饿死了。慢点，慢点，慢点，别对它呛。真的好小一个。再巴掌。说这个。圆肚子，圆肚子，圆滚滚的小兔子，小兔子真乖。好啦，说完觉然后再陪你玩好不好？你说好啊？说完觉了啊？太困了，只睡了5个小时。我在这里。出来嘛！哎呦喂，出来嘛！哎呦，傻猫，小傻猫，声音没有之前那么大了，开始夹了是吧？要不要我？不要，乖。大姐也无法交出，你们俩怎么全部是妹妹啊？你们怎么全是妹妹？
Street lamp flickers on wet stone. You curl beneath a broken phone. One paw lifted, barely there. Two ribs showing through your hair. 3 steps closer through the pour. 4 walls waiting by the door. The thunder hushes as I kneel. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to time. No more wandering alone. You are seen, you're not alone. 5 towels wrapped around your frame. 6 hours calling out your name. 7 breaths slow on the mat. 8 dreams where you don't look back. 9 days watching you sit tall. 10 times you didn't flinch at all. The window glows with morning's trace. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to time. No more shadows in your eyes. You've got sunshine in your cry. 11 walks without a leash. 12 meals shared in patient peace. 13 nights you nudge my head. 14 reasons I still stand. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to time. No more counting wounds or fears. You are home and so am I here. Street lamp flickers on wet stone. You curl beneath a broken phone. One paw lifted, barely there. 2 ribs showing through your hair. 3 steps closer through the pour. 4 walls waiting by the door. The thunder hushes as I kneel. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to time. No more wandering alone. You are seen, you're not alone. 5 towels wrapped around your frame. 6 hours calling out your name. 7 breaths slow on the mat. 8 dreams where you don't look back. 9 days watching you sit tall. 10 times you didn't flinch at all. The window glows with morning's trace. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to time. No more shadows in your eyes. You've got sunshine in your cry. 11 walks without a leash. 12 meals shared in patient peace. 13 nights you nudge my head. 14 reasons I still stand. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to time. No more counting wounds or fears. You are home and so am I here. Street lamp flickers on wet stone. You curl beneath a broken phone. One paw lifted, barely there. Two ribs showing through your hair. 3 steps closer through the pour. 4 walls waiting by the door. The thunder hushes as I kneel. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to tide. No more wandering alone. You are seen, you're not undone. 5 towels wrapped around your frame. 6 hours calling out your name. 7 breaths slow on the mat. 8 dreams where you don't look back. 9 days watching you sit tall. 10 times you didn't flinch at all. The window glows with morning's trace. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to tide. No more shadows in your eyes. You've got sunshine in your cry. 11 walks without a leash. 12 meals shared in patient peace. 13 nights you nudge my hand. 14 reasons I still stand. Now your heart beats next to mine. Every tremble turns to tide. No more counting wounds or fears. You are home, and so am I here.